Hello, my name's Tris and this is Double O'Neill. I'm going to talk to you about a project that I've been meaning to do for a while, and it's to look at addressing the fact that I can't find my locos in the Great Western Green colours, the big four colours that are out there. Eventually all got kind of painted black if they're a freight loco or a goods loco. If they're a passenger one, they would have some colour on them. But I want to run this Collett on my railway in the Great Western Railway colours, and I've picked it up, and I felt because I couldn't find a Great Western Railway one, I wanted to modify it, take off the BR details, take off any moulded details that could be an actual feature, and then have that as in my Great Western Railway loco. I felt that I kept searching for Great Western Railway ones, sometimes a bit too high priced, I'm not going to pay that. Then I'd find a BR black one, for not too much money. As you can see here, there's barely any detail painted up on these. The chassis was changed on these because it's an old mainline body, I understand, as a tooling. The tender's a new one off the ROD, and then they made a new chassis for it, which runs really nicely. The tender's actually got the speaker part on it. Everything else seems quite nice. It's reasonably modern, just no wires going into it. Looking at the instructions of how to take it apart, so generally take off half the screws that you don't need to take off to get it apart. And just kind of pick the four for the tender, and that comes apart, and we can have a look. Getting the coupling out on the front was really the main bit to get this off, because the cab castings actually do slide out of this with only that front screw holding it together. Looking at the decoder where it's mounted, what I decided to do was actually remove the whole unit and look at wiring up from the tender going in. So the two main wires here coming in will go to the motor. Then I have the two black and red coming out. They come from the pickup tray, and I just rerouted it to go back into here. I've made some holes in the bottom, nice and easy. But I will need to add the wires coming in from the speaker, from the decoder that I'm going to be using. Soldering it on, it's really simple. Just take your time with these things. It's small wires, nothing fancy to do. I'm going to put the speaker in. I kind of moved it to the back. Really, there's enough room to have a really long chamber in there. My brother has done quite a bit of this, where he's put certain size enclosures for the speakers in the boiler area, so it sounds really good. I also saw Mike from the Horby magazine doing it. So yeah, just make sure you check fit them when you're putting them together, and it's as simple as that. There is a little bit more room, and obviously the sound will come out of the chimney. There's a decoder installed. I didn't film it because you end up, it's fiddly, it's all fingered in the way of the camera and you can't see it. This is the decoder I fitted in. It's the HM7000 decoder. I've picked up the 8-pin one just so I had the wires going to it, so I can see what colours go where, and then I can hardwire it in. So you've got the decoder there, and then obviously ran the wires through to the motor and to the speaker from there. It's quite a simple kind of build up. You just got to take your time so you don't damage any wires. So yeah, popping it together with the cab on plate, it does go on quite nicely, just like that. And then you just put that front screw in. I've got a stay alive in the back. I can't remember what they call it on theirs, but that's what we know it is. So the wheels just keep going round and round. And yeah, nice and easy. The tender pops back on, and it's all nice. But the detail work now has to be done to the body. I wanted to de-flash it. It had quite a lot of a mark on the top. I know sometimes where the jacket of metal goes round, there would be a small line, but this had quite a nasty mould line on top, which wasn't so nice. So I kind of worked my way through where the safety valve was as well, kind of cleaned out that, so I had to be careful with the scalpel. And then snip off any of the details. So on the front we have the smoke box door handles, and then you've got the engine running number, as well as the shed plate that's underneath, and that's all for the BR. So anything Great Western, from what I understand, please correct me if I'm wrong, wouldn't normally have this on the front. It was a BR type thing, so there'd be no number on the buffer beam, which I will add in later. So I took it all off. I cleaned it up as much as I can, got a fine bit of sanding paper, and obviously made that smooth. Put a hole in because we're going to put these Comet models door handles on here. These are the 5mm ones. I always trim them a bit shorter. I don't show it in the video, but I do that. So you put in what I understand is the dart that goes in the middle. I glue that on. Just use super glue for everything that I do here. I drop in the handle next, and then I put glue on afterwards with a cocktail stick. Just position it how I want. Just make sure that there's enough on there so it doesn't keep spinning around. I always aim for the first one to be down. I generally see in pictures the first one's always completely vertically down, and then the next one can be kind of wherever you like. But I always like them being, I don't know, kind of 20 minutes away from that low point. It kind of looks nice. Then these are the Silvertane models ones. If you've watched my previous videos, I use these every time I want to add in some lamp irons. The lamp irons on this Loco didn't have any on top of the smoke box, don't know why. I guess it's something that was always missed by Mainline, and they weren't too worried about it, or I don't know, it's for the head coating, so you'd assume it's on all the Locos. So we put it on top here. I kind of shaped it the shape of the smoke box underneath it, and then wrap that round. And then underneath you'll see here on just above the buffer beam had these horrible chunky ones that came with the Mainline ones, I guess, and that continued once Vacume took it on. It's a real shame because it wouldn't take much to add some nice details here. Just a bit of kind of jumping in front of things, but I put some mascot on to protect the window. I actually put too much on here, so when I peeled it off later, the edge wasn't as nice around the window. That's one thing that I don't like about the Loco. From where I've kind of failed on putting too much on. I put 2 coats on because I was worried. But you can see I've added a vacuum pipe here. I've got the 3 lamp irons at the bottom, 1 on the smoke box, and then I put 2 on the side for like the spare lamp irons or for whatever they'd be wanting for. On the back you can see the vacuum pipe, and I've actually added a hook that was missing when I picked it up because it was second hand, though it was in very good condition. So I masked the tender just so I don't have to go through the painting it black again for no reason. So that's all masked off. So I prime it with this bronze green from Vallejo. It's a primer that they do, and it's very close to the colour of the Great Western Green, and I think that's a fantastic starting point, because whenever you paint them white or black, it takes quite a few coats to build up the colour that you want. And the issue that I have with that is you start losing all that rivet detail and the crispness of the model. And I find that the models that I've done before, they kind of, I don't want to call it a lack of professional look, but it doesn't look as good as it could look. When the paint looks like it's, I don't know, not built up with these little mini radiuses everywhere, then you've done a good job. I'm not perfect though. Every time I do this, I feel like I could improve, and it's something I really enjoy. I enjoy repainting these Locos. It's a kind of therapeutic process, especially when you get the paintbrush out and you're painting the little areas. But I also enjoy using the airbrush. And I kind of find you can hand paint these things. Just make sure you thin your paints. It's always a shame when you see afterwards the lines left over if you've gone a bit too hard on that. It's important to identify if you've got the paint splattering out when it comes out, because you get a bit of a texture that builds up. So just try and make sure it's coming out thin enough from the airbrush. There were some points when I've done some of these coats where it's not coming out nicely, but if it's coming out thin going on, it's not coming dribbling down the side. It's kind of a texture that's going on, it sticks on, and you should dry at a reasonable time as well. So then I kind of work my way through and get to the rail match post Great Western Green colour. That colour I always find it's harder to get that running as nice through the airbrush. I do get a little bit of texture. It's not, you can see here, it's not spraying as nicely as I can, so then I can thin it down a bit more, but then it takes quite a long time to dry. I find it's not the best paint that I've got out of the different ones that I've got, but it's the one at the right colour, so I need to use it. But keep looking for some Vallejo paint that's close to it, but I never seem to find this one. I'll keep looking, but yeah, it's one of those things. But it looks nice enough. I try and spray it on so then it kind of creates a nice layer, so it's not just going on and creating a rough surface. There's 1000 grit on there. I want it to be smooth. Again, on the tender, you do all this. I actually made a mistake on the tender. I had to wait for it to dry and then rub it down again, because I think I got a hair on there and I tried to pick the hair off. It was just a nightmare. So wait for it to dry, and then just got really fine. I've got this kind of stick, and I just kind of rub it up and down and get it smooth again and paint it. Though you can actually see where I've gone and rubbed this down, because the paint probably wasn't as hard as it could be. And so I painted back over that, and it's okay, but it could also represent some rust damage that's been repaired in the past and painted over on the real one. Then it's just smoke box really. The rest of the details after this, it's kind of fun. It's the fun game of get the paintbrush out, and then obviously work your way through. Do layers, don't do one big thick coat. You can see on here it goes quite thin. I always water my paints down, just a bit of water with the paint that I'm using, and just work my way through and take your time down here. This is one of the hardest bits I find, is when you run alongside either the cab side plates or on the tender. Just take your time, you don't have to do it in 2 seconds, just run it along slowly. Then moving over to the red, I just use a Vallejo red and do all the buffer ends and everything, and that's nice once it's done. And then my favourite bits, these are the finishing bits. You got the copper colours and everything. I use some metallics from Vallejo that come out so shiny. I was so impressed with them. It's almost like it's a real metal that's on there. So I've always been impressed. They are expensive though. One thing that I noticed on the other models, that the feed pipes aren't painted the copper colour. So I painted them the copper colour, and then where they join the two together, I paint that silver. So I'm guessing that would have been steel. And then I paint a brassy colour. I actually mix a bit of gold and copper together because I don't have brass, to kind of make this more brassy colour, let's say. Work my way around. It's nice and easy, and it looks nice. It's all going to get a bit weathered anyway and dull down afterwards. So then I use a gloss mixed with satin varnish. I always go 50-50 on both. When I go satin, it's almost like a matte when I do it, and the matte kind of looks similar. I do give it a good shake, but mixing the two Vallejo gloss and satins together, I get what I feel is the finish that I'm after, because I can matte things off afterwards, and you can gloss things up afterwards if you want to too. So that's the window with the mascot getting taken off, and actually it came off okay in places. In some other bits it had a little bit of an edge. Then I use the HMRS Press Fix transfers, and I really like these. You just peel them off the paper, so you cut sort of halfway down the thickness of the paper, peel it off, and then you just rub it down with your finger. You don't have to put excessive pressure on there. You need to varnish it afterwards, but then you just use moisture or methylated spirits, depends on which ones you've got, if you've got water or meth fix ones, and then it just peels off and it's in place. The normal ones that you use, normal transfers, are fine. I use them from time to time from Fox Transfers. They're very good, but I also enjoy using these because there's no stress behind trying to get them out of the water and put them on. Then I paint up a crew. I called the driver Dave, and I was talking to one of my friends, so we've got here Dave. If you want to name the fireman, you can. You can give Dave a friend. So the fireman and the driver, they're the right-hand drive crew. It's from Dark Castings on the MJT line that they have. And so I buy from them quite a lot. They're £3.60 for a pair, which is, I feel, good value. If you want to kind of go up for a bit more detail, you could go get the Model U ones. Do plan to get a few more of those Model U ones. It's just, they're kind of in a price range there. When I've got a bunch of these, so I'll just use these for now, but from time to time I get the Model U ones. When you go through a lot of Locos, that kind of adds up, but they do an amazing job there. So go and support all these companies. Painting them up is always fun. I put a coat of matte varnish on them, that's why they're kind of slightly shiny, so I'm waiting for them to dry, but you only see the backs of them anyway. Okay, so we're at the stage of wanting to check our Loco on the track. I would say that, this is my first time, I'm going to see how it goes, and I thought about it. What I thought we'd do is I'd do a little bit of learning before sitting down with you and getting you frustrated because I haven't read the instructions. So what have I learned? Firstly, my test track wasn't a good test track because two of my fish plates weren't working, and it's powered from down this end. So I put the Loco on past the fish plate, so I've got it about here, and it's not working. And I tried it in DCC, I tried it with the app on the phone. Still, no, not working. So then I get out one of my panniers with the chip in, just a normal chip, put it on at the end of the track. It's working. Why is this not working? I put all this effort in, I've hardwired it, tried to make this look really, really nice. it was actually fine. So then when I realised, because the pannier I was bringing up to here stopped working past the fish plate's fine. So I've soldered actually where the joins are, so there's just constant continuity there. Is a good connection. So yeah, check that, kids, before you have a go. So that was the Muppet moment past. Obviously many more to follow. So the Loco, we'll just dust over what we did before. So the chip is in the tender. I've run 6 wires through to the tender, 2 of them straight from the motor, 2 of them being straight from the pickups, and the other 2 coming back to do the sound. So we've got the speaker in this smaller enclosure, not the smallest, but one of the next ones up. Maybe I could like 3D print one that's perfect for that area, but I don't think I need to do that for this anyway. Yep, so we've got the Stay Alive at the back, which is great. So no wires needed to pass back and forth because it's straight. You know, it's just a plug-in, which is fantastic. You just plug it in and off you go. So honestly, it's a pleasure having it like that. So I've got it working. I used it with my Gauge Master Prodigy Express. Everything worked. I've not actually had a duration on it, so I can't tell you that if you run it on here for ages you'll have a problem. I've heard some people have had problems with certain DC systems. I don't want to bore you with stuff that you already know, but I'm learning. I loaded up the app. It's quite intuitive. It forces you to connect your device. So you click on connect to device. You can download the app, but then you need a chip to do the next bit. Once I got in there, I connected it up. I took a picture of the Loco, so I've got a picture of the Loco there. You can see the app here. It's not in great focus there, so bring it back here. So we've got the Loco there. We've got the forward and back motion on this. The Loco is going the wrong way when I got it going, so I sold it the other way around. It still went the other way, so I'm confused, but fine. You can turn the sound on with F1. Look at the sound there. You've got loads of options, got 3 pages it's got here, which is quite interesting. But you can do the cylinder cocks, so you can open them up. There we go. You've got various noises, so I've turned it off. Yeah, it stops. You've got the whistle. Oh. And then the other whistle. Okay. That was quite long. You got the safety valve as well. That's certainly blasted on and makes everyone jump when they're at the platform. And then we look on like the second page. There's got the blower, the door closed. Okay. Fine. Guard's whistle. When it's coupling up. Okay, flange squeal, but you have to be moving for that one. Fireman's breakfast. Yeah, so you can hear the bacon and the eggs sizzling away. Hopefully you're picking this up on the speaker. There's one for water. Put some water in the Loco. Okay, maybe there's nothing more. And then on the last page, I had a little look. You've got traffic and coasting, brake, shunting mode, and you've got automated function control, I guess, which might be that it goes forwards and backwards. I'm not sure, but anyway, that's that. I went and used a different profile. Because you go on locomotive settings, and then you can go and upload something. So import, is it the function match or locomotive profiles, browse profiles, and you can go and make it sound like any steam loco they've got on here. So there's really Great Western locos here, especially with the 2-cylinder type that will be going for this. So when I spoke to Tony's Trains, he talked to me about the 440 that's on here by another company. It's SD016 I've gone for. So his view is that'll be the closest one compared to all the others, which are much different locos when looking at them. But I can have a play with upload them. If I really want to, I can make it sound like a class 50 or a class 43 or a 66, you know, which we don't really need to do that today. It takes about 10 minutes to upload it. I think it was like, yeah, about 8 minutes maybe when it came up, and it's all very easy. You could give it to a youngster that's not used any of these systems before, and I'm sure they'll pick it up and they'll start showing you things in about 30 minutes there'll be a pro and yeah, they'll be teaching you all about it. Anyway, for the controls, because we've got the Stay Alive in here, this runs really well, so you can hear the sound now, can't you? If I take this off the track, we can listen to how long the sound lasts for. It's still going, which is pretty cool. But obviously the sound's probably not using too much energy. So what I wanted to show you, first of all, is the slow moving, and then afterwards, get it slow moving and then disconnect the power control, and you can see how long it lasts for, and you can actually control it on here still. So what we do is we're going to go what I believe is backwards. So you can tap the 1 and 2. Okay, this is forwards on this control, even though I did swap the two wires. But it goes around, this is 1, so it's got a nice slow speed. It'd be interesting if you can adjust the chuff rate, because I should have 4 beats per 1 revolution, shouldn't you? So you count them and you work out you're on an odd number, or you get 8 beats per revolution. Well, it's not a 4-cylinder with 8 beats, it's 2-cylinder, so it's only going to have the 4. But that runs really nicely. You can hit brake to pause it, let go, and then it will start moving again. So it might be that you've brought it to a stop, holding the brake, let go, and then off it goes again. So that's that. Obviously you can hit stop, and that just stops it, kind of thing. Yeah, what I wanted to show you was, what we do is we'll go forwards a few clicks, bring it over here, bring it up over here, see how all these fish plates are working out. Bring it up to 5. Hopefully if you're watching this, you're not finding this too boring. Maybe you're watching this because you're interested in the product. I'm not here to tell you if the product's good or bad. I'm just using it for the first time, and it's been alright. It's been pretty straightforward on how to use everything. So that's coming along nicely there, but we just wait till it's past the point, see if there's any issues there. Because for all I know, I'm running off the power that's in the Stay Alive. So I can stop that, that takes it down to 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the other direction, and we're going to go to 4, and we're going to see how long it lasts for. Okay, so go 2, 3, 4. Let's get it going for a second, and then we're going to get our control system and put out the power wire, okay? And what I want to do is show you, so okay, right, power wire comes out, that's still running. If I want to, I can do the whistle. Do it again. At the moment there's no power coming to, only if there's some capacitors in here maybe, as well as the Stay Alive there, but now it's struggling, can't move. So now that's that, plug it back in, and it's working again. So not that you're going to have to do that very often, but it shows you that if you had a point with some dodgy frogs and whatever going on, you can have that kind of faultless running and enjoy yourself. So that's the beauty of the Stay Alive. Not a new invention, but if you've got this, it's an easy plug-in, yeah, little unit. I think it's £24, and yeah, really pleased with it. So what we do is I'll just do one last little bit, go forwards, and we'll do the brake squeal. Hopefully it will stop when I do this button. So I'm going to hold down 4. Okay, but it's not stopping. Okay, I know F2 on some of my other decoders, you'll hit that button and that'll stop it. So if I do that and then hit brake, oh, I don't know. It's an interesting one actually. And then just hit stop. Okay, so it doesn't have, obviously you can adjust the inertia, so we go to our settings, so we can have a slower stop. Locomotive settings, it's got on here deceleration rates, we're on 15, I feel like we need to put it on like 5, okay, so we'll go back to that, so we'll go backwards, so we'll get that to go. You know, I can hit the brakes maybe and then hit stop and see if it stops slower. So it's going backwards, brake squeal, stop, and I hit stop, didn't I? Oh no, I did. Let's do this again, okay. Slide that up there. we're going to get it going, and then we're going to slow it down, and then we're going to hit the brakes. Right, fine. We've got up to 7 there, come down a few. So we got that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to 0 on the speed. Okay, maybe we need to go faster. Let's try this again. Let's go up to 28. Okay. Sounds pretty good. Bring it down to no power. Nah, stops a bit hard there. So we change it again, locomotive settings. Again, we've got it over here. We can go to, well, not 0, because it will go forever, right? I'm going to go for 1 and see how this works. Okay, so we're going to go the other way. I'm going to bring it up to here. It's a little slide bar, nice and easy to use. Bring it down to 0. So it doesn't just roll to a stop. Okay. Maybe that's something in the settings I can do. Yeah, it's very responsive. Bring it over here. So it's on 33 here. If I bring it to 8, yeah, it's too responsive. Locomotive settings. Maybe I need to hit export function map. What we'll do is we'll take that off the power for a second. Just drive backwards on here. Yeah, I don't know. Still going. Anyway, I'll learn more about that. You might be able to do it with the CVs and do it in a better way and turn that down so it's a lot smoother on that deacceleration. I'll be able to plug it into my normal unit, use this and change your values, and it might be much smoother the way that it's slowing down. But for £70 or 70 whatever it is, I can't remember exactly, I'll just stop this and turn the sound off. For the money that you're paying plus the chip, it's what you're saving, like let's say £15 or £10 over buying a more specialised one. Specialised ones, if I want the perfect thing for this, I'll go to Digitrax, U-Choose, Lego Biffaman, all these companies that do the sound files for Collett Goods. And you've got panniers and stuff like that. So where Hornby would benefit someone like me is doing some Great Western Railway locos. You know, they've got some of their range, the Castles and Kings, and they've got some older locos that they could do the Prairie. No, yeah, they've got the Prairie. So it'd be nice if they did that, so I can get the chips in there. So what we'll do is we'll finish off the loco, put the body on. The railway is currently in a bit of a rebuild at the moment. We'll have an update on that at some point, not just yet, still haven't finished. Yeah, we'll get that going, and we'll just have a little play of it up and down here, take some nice photos of it, and we can ogle at it. Anyway, let's crack on. Due to not being able to actually seeing this whilst I'm doing the work, just thought I'd just talk about the buffer beam. So we're putting the numbers on, so 2215 is what I've gone for the numbers for the loco, whilst I was waiting for the side bits to come on, and they look nice enough on there. Didn't really get much of a shot of it, but you'll see them here and there. The other bit I need to do is add in the crew that I've painted up. So use a spot of super glue. I try and do this carefully and sometimes use an activating spray to put them on. So I'm going to put it in and let them grab a hold of that regulator, and then drop in the fireman to go, and then you can see a bit of activator there. Just give it a quick squirt, and it's as simple as that as it goes on. With that in place, I just want to pop it upside down, screw the tendo on properly. The 4 little screws go in there. I find it's almost like when you see dentistry happening, using tweezers is kind of the only way that I can do this, or a magnetic screwdriver would probably be very helpful, but I don't have one of those. So yeah, just screw that together that way. I wanted to do a bit of weathering whilst I was waiting for the cab plates, cab side plates to come. Going to dust over the cab. I used a bit of masking tape, so the smoke box itself would be that different shade, because talking to like Tony Strains of Rugby, who I talk to quite a lot now about these types of things, he explained that because there's no jackets between the paint and the smoke box, it's just direct, that kind of does change colour, and it does, look a bit more like worn paint, whereas obviously the cladding that goes around, there's an insulated layer in between the two. What I did whilst I was doing the weathering, I thought I'd have it running so then I can actually get all the parts of the wheels, which was I thought was a good idea, very useful using the test track whilst it was out. The other bit I want to do, which I always enjoy doing, is adding the coal to the tender. I just put some PVA glue in there and just start shoveling it in. Some big bits and small bits. Group came to supervise this one. He wondered what I was up to. He normally wonders what I'm up to, because I'm up on this desk all the time tinkering with things. But if it smells interesting, he normally pops by, especially. So putting these in, just trying to find some smaller pieces, because it's the same pots I've used for a while where I crush them up and I'm left with more of the big pieces. So just take out what you don't want. Then I guess you could use a bit of water, or you let that soak in, or some isopropyl alcohol. So then when you put the watered down PVA glue in, it kind of wicks in nicely because you've got rid of that surface tension. And I just use my dropper to drop the fluid in, and I just let that dry. I give it a really good amount of time to dry on that, because I'm always worried about things not being dry and leaking out or whatever. These are the Fox Transfers cab side plates. These are wonderful. They prepared them. They make them all themselves. I trim them out, and then what I do is get a file and clean up the edges where they've been trimmed out, and get rid of any witness marks to the tab that was holding it in place, and just run it over with a file until it's nice. Then I use PVA glue to hold them on. I used to use super glue, and it's very instant. If you haven't got it in the right place, it's quite emotional when that happens. So I've started using PVA glue to hold certain things on, because it's not going to fall off. It's not like I've got to put it through a lot of stress. So I drop it over. You can see where the old one was. Drop that in place, so 2215 will kind of be very complete in that aspect. Just get both sides done, make sure they're flat, and I guess the next step will be to head over to my local model railway club over in Kettering. I go there on a Wednesday night. Can't always make it every Wednesday, but it's nice to go there. But on this Wednesday we have our Octagon out, which is our running track. And it's always nice, everyone brings their locos to run, and I was fortunate enough to put this on and give it a run in, actually, because I didn't know how much it's done before, but it ran very, very nicely and I was pleased. So tell me what you think. I've enjoyed doing this project. Having a repaint, it's a nice excuse to paint something, buying something in the wrong colour. But if you can't find what you need, this is what you can do. Don't be afraid, even if you don't have an airbrush. Just go water down some paints after primering and just paint away, give it a few coats, and it's very satisfying to process. Putting the transfers on, getting some brass nameplates, putting a crew in, the coal, the brass details. It's a nice fun project to do, and you look back at it and smile like, I did that. That was good. And if you make some mistakes, well, they'll be great for the next loco, because that will benefit from it. But I've enjoyed doing this. I want to say a huge thank you to the subscribers of the channel. You've been following me for a while now, and I thoroughly enjoy and appreciate you leaving comments, looking at them and reading them and responding to you. And if I don't respond to you, I apologise. There's quite a few that come through in some on old videos, but please leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of the video and what you'd like to maybe see in the future, and let me know obviously what the fireman would be called. We got Dave, the loco driver. Give us a name for the fireman, and then we can give them that. I want to shout out to the channel members and patrons of the channel. Your support is very appreciated, and all that goes into these projects. So yeah, much appreciated. If you'd like to become a channel member and support the channel, you can either do it through the channel membership or the Patreon link that is below. Anyway, enjoy the hobby, as I hope you always do. Try and have some fun when you do it, and I'll see you soon. Take care, look after yourselves, goodbye.